Hey guys, what's going on? It is Flack here, and in this video we're going to be talking about keyboard shortcuts in Photoshop. Before we start, make sure you stick to the end of the video because there is a great design tip that I want to tell you guys about. And also make sure you subscribe to my YouTube channel, hit the notification bell if you want to get notified whenever I upload any new video, for you to know that this video is a part of a Photoshop course that I'm making. And you will find the Photoshop course in the I button on the top screen or in the description below, okay? And I'm calling this the best Photoshop course in YouTube because we're going step by step in each thing that we're doing in this amazing software. So without any further ado, let's start. Hey guys, so here we are on Photoshop. There are things that in the zoom tool that we didn't cover in the previous video, so we're gonna cover them in this video, okay? So once you are on Photoshop, you can simply press Z to go to the zoom tool, and the shortcuts that we have for the zoom tool is simply hitting Control and plus to zoom in like that, and Control and minus to zoom out, as you guys can see. And there's also one way that we didn't cover in the previous video, which is deselecting the scrubby zoom, as you guys can see here, and simply just go to the place that you want to zoom into and select it like that, and it's going to zoom into it immediately. Okay, go back, and you can also hit Control and 0 to fit the screen back to your canvas. Okay, what you can also do is when you zoom in like this, you can also press the space bar to get this hand, as you guys can see, and start moving around in your design or in your image, as you guys can see. Control 0 to go back, and that's it for the zoom tool. You can reach your tools going to edit and then going down here into keyboard shortcuts. Okay, you'll see all your shortcuts in Photoshop. You can change them, you can add them. You can even add new shortcuts for each tool that you have. If you ever forgot one of your keyboard shortcuts for for a certain tool, you can also reach that shortcut in here, or just by going over the tool that you want and just put your cursor on it, and it will tell you what does the tool do and the shortcut, and what is the shortcut of this tool. Okay, and let's head over to the brush tool. Okay, choose a layer, and you can simply start picking the color, as you guys can see, and start brushing. Okay, and also for the brush tool we have some shortcuts. You can simply click the right button on your mouse and to go to the brush settings, increase the size, decrease the size, do whatever you want in the brush settings. What you can also do is simply pressing the Alt button and the right click on your mouse and start dragging to the right or the left to decrease and increase your brush size, and start dragging up or down to increase the hardness or decrease the hardness of your brush, as you guys can see. Okay, what you can also do is simply holding the Alt button to temporarily turn on the eyedropper tool, and you can simply pick any color in your canvas or in your design, and as you can see right over here, the color is changing based on what color is it you are choosing. Okay, and simply you can just start brushing, as you guys can see here. Okay, you can also press X on your keyboard to change the foreground to the background color, and that's what it does. You can also go back and press Control Z to go back to undo what you have done. To reset the colors, you can simply press D, and you'll see that the colors have been reset back to black and white. Okay, another tool we have is the selection tool, which is so basic and simple. You can just go and do this, and here, as you guys can see, you have selected something in your photo, and you can simply Control D to deselect any selection that you have in your photo. You can also see that some tools have some subsets, as you guys can see here. You can also see that the lasso tool has some subsets. In order to change to the subsets using the shortcuts, what you have to do is you have to press L for the lasso tool shortcut, and you have to press Shift and L in order to change and go around these tools in the lasso tool subset. Okay, another thing we can do is using the ruler to make some guidelines. Okay, as you guys can see, I was having the ruler on. You can also click Control R, press Control R on your keyboard to turn on and turn off your ruler, and simply go to the left hand side and start clicking and dragging like that to make a guideline. As you guys can see, if you want to make a horizontal guideline, you can just go up here and drag down, as you guys can see. Okay, if you want to temporarily hide these guidelines, you can simply press Control H on the keyboard and it's going to hide them. And notice that it is temporarily hidden. You can get them back by pressing Control H again, as you guys can see. So we're going to hide them. To continue the tutorial. You can also press I for the eyedropper tool, so you can also choose colors from your canvas or your design. Another tool we have is the magic wand tool. You can simply press W on your keyboard to go to the magic wand tool, and it is simply another selection tool. As you guys can see, we can actually go here, select one of, okay, you have to make sure that you are on the layer of the background or your design, so you can simply start clicking and selecting things on it. If you're not on the layer, you'll notice that if I change my layer to layer 1, which is an empty layer, it will just choose the whole layer. Okay, but if you are on the layer of your design or your image, you'll simply start picking the pixels that are inside this layer. Okay, another shortcut that we have in the magic wand tool is you can simply hold Shift in order to add another selection to your selections, or simply press Alt to deselect one of these selections that you have made. As you guys can see, to deselect all the selections that you have made, you simply Control D and it will deselect all the selections that you have. You can also press Shift and W to go to the quick selection tool, as you guys can see. And what this does, it simply starts to quickly select objects in your canvas. As you guys can see, I've selected this man over here using the quick selection tool. You can also Control D to deselect all the selections that you have made in your canvas. And now we're going to go to the pen tool. And remember, we're going to cover the pen tool in much more detail in a upcoming video. Okay, so simply what you can do with the pen tool is you can start making points and choosing an object that is in your design. As you guys can see, in order to make a selection with this path that you have made, anything you do with the pen tool is named a path. So in order to make a selection from this path, you can simply press Ctrl and Enter to make a selection out of this path. You can also deselect that selection using Ctrl and D. Okay, let's say we want to select something, precisely using the pen tool. All you have to do is just simply start picking points, putting points like that on your canvas. And as you guys can see, it is not aligning with the guy's head. How can we do this? Is simply just go right over here and start dragging like that. Okay, if you want to have more control on your path, you can simply press Alt and start picking these points. And as you guys can see, it is not even working. What you can do is you can go to this path and start adding another point. You can also press Control on the keyboard to start moving these points here, and you can also play around with the little things here, so you can hold and control the path, as you guys can see. Okay, to reset your point angles, as you guys can see, you can simply go here and hold the Alt button and start clicking on the point that you guys can see here. Okay, that's basically it. And you can simply just undo what you have done in order to get rid of that pen tool. Okay, another tool we're going to cover is the spot healing brush. You can simply reach the spot healing brush pressing J on your keyboard and select your layer so you can start the spot healing brush. Make sure that the content aware is selected. You can simply start erasing parts of your image like that, and you simply let the artificial intelligence of Photoshop does the magic for you. You can simply delete and erase parts of your photos in your designs, as you guys can see. Okay, we're gonna undo this. Okay, and we're gonna get back again to the spot healing brush. You can simply change to the regular healing brush pressing Shift and J. And now what this does, it lets you pick a source point. We're gonna pick a source point from here, and you can start sampling from this source point. Notice if I choose this part as a source point, it's gonna have the parts of this image as my source points, as you guys can see here. You can also get back and undo this. Another thing we can do is we're going to go to the clone stamp tool, which is by pressing S on your keyboard, and you can do the same thing. Basically hold Alt and pick a source point, and same thing, start brushing around, as you guys can see. Okay, that's for the clone stamp tool. Another tool we're covering is the gradient tool. Okay, that's the gradient tool, as you guys can see. Just simply picking one of your gradients, and you click on your mouse, start dragging your mouse to the right or to the left, and it will make this nice gradient, as you guys can see. Okay, what if you want to make your gradient a little bit more steady? Or actually not a little bit, just 100% steady. You can simply click on your mouse, hold Shift, and start dragging it. As you guys can see, it will be steady and snappy, as you guys can see. Okay, and what this does, it basically makes some good effects for your photos. You can simply do this and go to the opacity, lower the opacity a bit. You're gonna have this nice British color, as you guys can see. And we're gonna undo this. Same thing we're gonna do is Shift and G to change to the paint bucket tool, which is found right over here. And what you can do is just simply paint your design or your canvas with your color that you have here. If you change the color like that, it will change the paint of the film color, as you guys can see. Okay, another tool we have is the crop tool. Okay, once you go to the crop tool, you will have delete cropped areas or delete cropped pixels selected. And I'm gonna tell you later what this does. Okay, you can simply choose the place that you want to crop by going to one of these corners and starting to drag your mouse. Okay, if you want it to be more consistent or steady, you can simply press the Shift on your keyboard, and you're gonna start picking around the places that you want to crop. If you're good with this, you can simply go to the check button right over here and just click it, and it will simply crop your photo. If you want to go back, Control Z, you're going to go back again, and you're back. Okay, again, let's go to the delete cropped areas. If you uncheck the delete cropped areas, as you guys can see, it will make you free to select the place that you want to crop. Okay, and you can simply press the check button, as you guys can see here. What this does, if you go back to if you press, let's say if you go back to the magic wand tool and you go back again to the crop tool, pressing C, you can always see the places that you have cropped. You can see that you can actually go back and reset your crop as or actually crop more areas of your design or image, or you can simply just press Control Z to get back to your full photo resolution. Okay, if you want to scale your image, all you have to do is just press Control T on your keyboard. Okay, you cannot transform an empty layer. You can always make sure that you are on the right layer that has something to scale down or up. You can simply press Control and T, and now you can simply scale up or down your photo. In Creative Cloud versions, especially Photoshop Creative Cloud 2019, you don't have to press Shift to make your scaling consistent, as you guys can see. If you press Shift and start, it will make it free to transform and to enlarge and to make it smaller. If you are on Photoshop CS6, you will have to press Shift to make it steady like that. Okay, if you want to enlarge from the middle, you want to to scale up or down your photo from the middle point, you can simply hold Alt and start enlarging. As you guys can see, in whatever point you're picking, it enlarges from the middle. It scales up or down from the middle. Okay, and you can simply press Control and Z. So that's it for today, guys. And we're gonna now talk about the design tip. And today's design tip is simply add text to your images by adjusting the brightness of these images. How you can do this is simply adding a new layer, as you guys can see, going to the paint bucket tool by pressing G on your keyboard, and you go to the color picker and you choose the black color, okay, and simply start doing this and fill your image. As you guys can see, what you can do is you go to the opacity and lower down the opacity, as you guys can see. Now I'm gonna make full focus to the text that you are gonna type. I'm gonna type in flag designs, as you guys can see. So this text is now more obvious and it is looking way better than this. Let's turn off the background color. If I lower down the brightness of the photo by adding this fill layer, as you guys can see, it is looking way much better. So thank you guys so much for watching. See you in the next tutorial.